Yeah, absolutely. I think that connection is something that's really powerful for me as well, being able to get the user or the consumer so close to the process of actually building out the product and ideating and, kind of walking alongside the development team. Like that's super important. And one of my favorite parts of Centercode is the fact that we call that layer the community, because that's really what it is, right? You really are bringing the community into, kind of like opening the doors. I think we had one guest on the podcast who said it was like bringing people into the secret circle. It's like, yeah, you get a peek inside of how we actually do this. And speaking of that, talking about testers specifically, I wanted to ask you, what makes a good tester? Is it something that's test specific, or are there universal traits that kind of carry over no matter what project we're running?
I think that question is easy to make very complicated, but it's actually very simple. It's energy, enthusiasm, and accuracy. If they do those three things, if they're energetic, they're there for the test, they're enthusiastic about what they're doing, and they're accurate. They take the time to share accurate data with us. Everything else is gravy. It makes it easy for us because we get testers of varying degrees of energy. Some people are very low energy. They just, they do the minimum, and that's great. But they're fine, but they're not people who are going to be seeking out again. Enthusiasm is the difference between someone writing a couple words and someone writing me 3 paragraphs. There's a balance in that. Obviously, the 3 paragraphs makes it a little hard to read all of that, but at the same time, we appreciate that, and good feedback is always useful. And accuracy is just people paying attention to the details, giving me the information. That's what makes a great tester to me. If you have those 3 traits, you're a slam dunk for me every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's something to it, because I've seen Mike over the years running tests, and his testers love him. He gets compliments all the time from testers saying how great of a manager was and how well he responded. And I think there's something to that energy, that enthusiasm that you're talking about, because as a test manager, you are emoting some kind of energy. Like if you're listening to testers, if you're giving them the attention that they are seeking in part of test, I think you're kind of injecting some enthusiasm, a little bit more motivation into those testers. And I want to hear some Mike tips on how am I, a beta manager, going to get these people excited, hyped up, and start that test really strong and excited?
That is a great question, and it is something that is sometimes it's self-propelled. So like I mentioned, like a very high-end headphones or a new streaming device or a video game, that energy is already there. You can tap it. But when you get into projects that the product isn't necessarily as exciting or something that people aren't chomping at the bit to test, but that's where what you capitalize on is the exclusivity of that test. And what you do is, one of the things I always teach, I have an analogy, I've told this 1,000 times, and I call it the country club versus health club mentality. So when you create a test, anybody can join a health club, right? You get paid $20, you join, you're in. Country clubs require you be invited. You have to have you have to commit to participating in it, like go to their restaurant and play golf and tennis, and you have to say, I'm going to be a member of this club. And I've always wanted us to get that kind of enthusiasm. People who are committed to our projects are committed from the very beginning. We set that sense of exclusivity, and that's what gets them excited. They're like, you touched on it a second ago. It's like seeing something that no one else is getting to see, to be in that inner circle, that community. Having that opportunity is a huge advantage. And then also you have someone listening to you, which I always capitalize on. Like you have the engineering team of the company you're testing for sitting there, cares about what you have to say. I can tell you, I got 2 kids. They don't listen to me. So it's nice to go to work and go out here and have the kids have someone listening to you and saying, oh my gosh, I care about what you think. And that's always nice. And then I think the last thing, and by the way, my kids sometimes listen. And then the last thing is, I think what also just helps motivate people is appreciation. Just like you're saying, I take the time to capitalize on that energy and enthusiasm, and we say thank you on every post. We listen to what they write. If you go look at any of my posts on any kind of test I do, I literally will read every single comment and I write responses that are in direct response to that, because obviously if I'm listening, I'm responding to those to those comments and showing that I've listened, not just boilerplate responses. And I think that's why Centercode is successful with a lot of companies, because they don't have the energy to do that. And our CPM team is good at doing that and making sure that people are being listened to. And that's central to success of any project, is having that response to your testers so that they know that what they're doing is worthwhile and useful to them.